Guys, welcome back to another episode of Kapows Arcade Adventures. In this episode, we're actually traveling down to Florida to check out ReserveMonsters just outside of Orlando. This is the first trip I was able to take in a while. Because of COVID, my job stopped allowing me to travel for really the last 2 years. So this was the first work-related trip I was able to take. And then, of course, marry it up with checking out a local arcade. So go ahead, sit down, check out what we have to show you guys. It's a great episode. I really hope you guys enjoy it. Hey guys, this is Kapow from Kapows Arcade Adventures, and today we're down in sunny Florida, and we are about to go on a walkthrough tour of ReserveMonsters. I have not been able to do one of these videos for a while. I have not been traveling for work, which is normally when I've been able to shoot these videos before. This is the first work trip since COVID kind of became a thing in 2 years I've been able to actually take that got me out of my home state of Virginia, down here, now here in Florida. And one of the first things I wanted to try to do was find a local arcade. And as I was doing my search, ReserveMonsters came up really close to where I'm staying at. I have seen stuff about ReserveMonsters before on a lot of the forums that are out there. So I wanted to go ahead and come on out here, spend a couple of bucks, support the local establishment, check out the arcade and see what kind of games they had to offer. So give us a couple of seconds. We're going to get on inside and just do a walkthrough to show you guys what it is that you have in store if you're down here in the Florida area, close to ReserveMonsters, and you want to come on out and play some games and eat some food. So let's go ahead and get on inside, y'all. So as you walk up, you're going to notice right on the outside that they've got a really cool sitting area if you want to go ahead and bring your food or your drink on out. You know, sit here on the fake grass under the umbrella at the picnic table and just have a bite to eat while you kind of go back and forth inside and play. The exterior of the location's got some really neat art that they've put up on the outside. You've got Q*bert, Pac-Man, Centipede, and then you kind of work your way on down on into the location. Now, they do not take cash. It is a credit card, pay to play kind of environment. You know, as you come on inside, one of the first things that you're going to notice is all of the fantastic wall art and graffiti that they've placed inside of ReserveMonsters. Everything is neon reactive, everything from the carpet to the stuff that you see on the walls. That's kind of the theme as you go throughout the entire arcade. When you come in, you're going to see a central desk where you can kind of come on up to. You can both order drinks as well as food here, and then you get your wristband after you've paid to come on in and check out the arcade. But one of the first things that I noticed right off the bat that I was drew to was the fantastic collection of pinball machines that they have lining the main room as you kind of come into ReserveMonsters. One of the standouts that I kind of noticed was that they have a lot of limited edition pins in here. Not just pros or premium models, but you know, they've actually spent a lot of money on their pinball collection and gotten several LEs in that you can play. And a lot of them, you know, the modern stuff, the Stern games, recent releases like Rush that they have in here, you know, Godzilla, the Mandalorian, and kind of so on down the line. I had a chance to play Attack from Mars while I was in here. I love this game. I've played it on virtual pin before, but this was the very first time I was able to actually get on a real machine and actually play it. It was a wonderful game. Medieval Madness and then Monster Bash followed by Willy Wonka. Along this wall, you've got AMC's The Walking Dead, Deadpool, Star Wars, Batman, Jurassic Park, Stranger Things, Elvira's House of Horrors, Ghostbusters, and Avengers. So a lot of the modern pins, you know, right after you come in the door, this is where I've kind of spent most of my time already, you know, playing the different pins that I haven't had a chance to play before and just seeing what kind of scores I can actually put up on the machines. After you come in, that's really it in the main area. They do have a snack section where they also sell some types of memorabilia that you can buy, everything from, like plushies and figures to different types of arcade related decor, a lot of anime stuff and all kinds of candy that you can use and eat, and you kind of get your sugars fixed on as you go along. They do sell t-shirts. I'm probably going to wind up picking up one of these for myself, as well as other memorabilia in here. As you go towards the back on the right, they've got a really cool hallway just past the bar over here where their pickup order area is, where they've got this fantastic collection of neon reactive, UV light posters all over the place. And then that theme kind of follows suit into the bathroom as you go inside as well. All kinds of drinks that they have, lots of console games up here by the bar as you kind of come on in here through the arcade. And then the first set of stairs that you're going to come to, and the arcade's kind of broken up into two sides, two different upstairs sections. This is kind of where the majority of their classic games are. The arcade, I believe, says that they have over 200 games on location, and we'll talk a little bit about that more later on. But as you come up to the first floor, one of the first things you see, ice cold beer by Taito, NBA Jam, Centipede, Crystal Castles was, I guess, their unique take on their own type of bezel, around it with the LCD screen, and I believe it's got the scanline generator. They've got a Frogger in here, Pac-Man, Robotron, and then you get into the small row that they have of like the Candy Cat style games. And then as you get back here, we've got some console stuff going on. These little, even worse than arcade one-ups that they have, and they do have a Zookeeper over here. Kind of neat on the top of the Zookeeper that they've got a score from Brian Cood from 691,800 points, and then they have an Outrun Cabaret. And then as you kind of go down this lane of the arcade upstairs, they have a couple of tables that you can sit at. They have an entire row of Vuelix cabs with some of the fighting games and other types of Japanese games on them. And then the upstairs row finishes up with a Dragon's Lair with no side art on it. This will give you like an overview just of the main room when you come inside of Arcade Monsters from the first upstairs area before you progress into the next room. And again, you can see all the really cool art. That's one of the things this location has that I kind of love. Some arcades you go into, they don't do much in the way of the decor. I would say Arcade Monsters kind of knocked it out of the park with all of the custom artwork that they've had. This must have taken an enormous amount of time and effort on their part to do. As you go into the next room, this is mostly all modern games that you'll find in here. A lot of the Raw Thrill games. They do have the modern take on the Atari Pong, the stand-up version, not the tabletop version. The Walking Dead, Halo Fireteam, and of course the wonderfully addictive Killer Queen. You and 10 of your friends can get on in here and do that modern take on Joust, if you will. They do have a Reunion Cab. That's really the most, I would say, the closest classic arcade game that they have in this room, and a Bubble Checks that they got in here. As you kind of progress towards the back of the room, before you go up the stairs, they do have a Donkey Kong in here, also with no side art on it, on one side at least, and then a lot of Japanese games that they've got in this room. Star Wars Battle Pod, always one of my favorites. Would love to have one. And then there is a Popeye buried back here in the corner. And then you've got two of the Dance Rush Stardom games back here with the lit up LED stores. Really, really kind of cool. And if you want to progress towards the back, there is an actual storage area back there. As we continue on upstairs to the second floor in this room that was adjacent to the first room we went into that had the majority of the classic games, you'll see some really cool side art with Centipede here and UV reactive paint on the wall. A baby Neo Geo MDS SOK machine in here, 2-slot one. And then more of the more modern Japanese games with the Data East Kung Fu Master, one of my favorite games. Probably one of the best of the Data East series between it, Commando, and Karate Champ, probably my 3 favorites. And then a Q*bert that they have in here. And then that kind of rounds out the 2nd floor of this room. Now we're gonna go ahead and proceed on downstairs. You gotta love some Rick and Morty. I mean, the colors on these are just incredible and how they react with the black lighting in here. You know, everybody does the black light reactive carpeting. The Arcade Monsters kind of took it over the top with all of the artwork that they've done. And then the last room that you come to, they've got multiple Sega D0 race games linked together on an entire wall of them, actually. Another dance game back here. The 20th anniversary edition of Pump Up. Super Bikes 3, Big Buck Hunter, Time Crisis 5, because the first 4 weren't enough. And then you've got a couple of fighting games. You've got Champion Edition Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and Tekken 3 and Mortal Kombat 3. I have never been much of a fighting game kind of player, probably because I'm terrible at all of them. I really kind of exist in the Karate Champ realm. They've got a Batman, Mario Kart X DX's, Dance Dance Revolution, a really cool skee-ball range that they've got in here. Gitadora, both the guitar and the drum game. More the Japanese style Pokemon tournament. Guitar Hero, Terminator Judgment Day, Paperboy, Dig Dug, and Tron. I kind of walked through earlier and I did a count, but by my count there was 21 what I would consider classic, you know, that 1980s up into the very early 1990s era games. The rest of the games in here are more of the modern style games that you see popular destinations like Dave & Buster's, Round 1, and a lot of those types of locations nowadays. But it's a really nice mixture of both modern games that are attractive, like the current generation of player, as well as the older style of games for guys like me that grew up in the arcades in the 1980s. Now, one of the games I noticed that I'd never played before when I came in was Black Emperor. I've never heard of or seen this game before I came here today to Arcade Monsters. And as soon as I kind of made my way through the arcade, saw the cabinet, I love the design. You know, it looks like an older style, classic 80s kind of our cabinet with the way the lines are on the cab itself and where the coin door is positioned. And then I love the Japanese caricatures on the front of it. It's got a really simple control panel. You've got a roller that goes up and down, and you've got an accelerator button, and that's it. The purpose of the game is to actually drive a motorcycle and keep the speed up along the course and not go too far forward or too far back. And then you use the roller to actually maintain position. And if you fall too far back in the screen, you wind up dying. If you go too far forward, you wind up dying. I've played the game several times already. Really, really addictive. I love the way that the cab is put together, the music, the functionality of the game, the uniqueness of having a roller that moves your motorcycle up and down along the way you navigate on the course. I liked everything about it. And I don't usually feel that way about modern games. Now, this is in that same kind of genre as like Killer Queen is. I do like Killer Queen, but I tend to hate on a lot of the more modern games. And that's really just because I grew up in the arcade in the 80s and I consider myself a classic gamer. For a lot of other people, they would probably love stuff like this, the more modern take on arcade games. And honestly, 20 years from now, that's what the next generation of collectors is going to be going after. The things that they grew up with, the same way that we go after the things that we grew up with as classic 80s arcade, you know, children of the 80s people. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this walkthrough of Arcade Monsters. If you're down here and you're close to Orlando, you know, it's worth your time to come on out, check out the arcade, grab a beer, have something to eat, belly up to the bar, play some pinball, and just enjoy yourselves. So with that, I'm gonna let you guys get on out of here, and I'll see you in the next video. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Kapows Arcade Adventures. As I said in the video, when I was at Arcade Monsters, the real standout for me was playing Black Emperor. I had never seen the game before, I'd never even played it before. After I got back home, I did some research online. It is from the same creators that brought us Killer Queen, and it is truly meant to replicate the feel and kind of the design and flow of a classic 80s arcade game. I think what I loved so much about it was that kind of endless track that the motorcycle progressed on through the game. Really similar in feel to kind of like how Spy Hunter never really has an end to it, and you just keep going and going and building up points as you go along. And because I love Spy Hunter so much, I think that's probably one of the things that made me gravitate towards Black Emperor as a game. I'm going to put the link to the video, the promotional video that was actually put out when the game debuted and was released, into the notes below. So go ahead and click it if you're interested in the game. And as I said, I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and please stay tuned to the next time to see what we have to offer on our next adventure.